So you may be wondering where I've been lately, and the answer is super simple. I want to enjoy working on the car. And in order to do that, I have to be comfortable with just enjoying working on it. Like I can't be worried about, oh, I have to make a video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 o'clock. When, to be honest, I feel like that's too much. I honestly feel that I'm under a deadline to make something happen when there's nothing really happening, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just having fun working on my car. Like, that's all I wanna do is enjoy my car and enjoy working on it. Like, that's what it's all about, right? I have a whole list of things that I've been writing down as I go that I need to get this running. I know I need a fuel pump. I know I need a fuel filter before the fuel pump and one after the fuel pump, 100 micron and 10 micron. I don't know how much AN line I need, because I want to do -10 from the tank to the filter, right? And then from the filter to the pump, I guess it'll be -8 just to save money. And from -8, it'll be -8 all the way up to the front. The only reason why I have an AN Y fitting here is because I've looked at some of this other stuff on the internet, and some of them come with fittings, some come with like 90s and 45s or whatnot, but none of them come with a Y fitting. So I figured if I'm gonna run fuel cell to fuel filter, 100 micron to fuel pump to 10 micron after the fuel pump, and then to the regulator, I could do that, you know, like I said, 10 to 8, or I could do all that in 10. And when I get to the regulator, it'll regulate like 58 PSI all the way up to the fuel rails in -8 line. So I'll do -8 from there all the way up to the rails with the Y fitting, right? But from the regulator to back to the tank, because I'm going to return excess pressure or excess fuel, anything beyond 60 or whatever, back to the tank, I'm going to do that in -8 as well. Just by talking to you guys and bouncing it off of somebody, I feel like I'm going to need more -8 than 10. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take like an extension cord and zip tie it up and like mock up the fuel system. But anyway, back to the list. Fuel pump, fuel filters, -10, -8 fuel line. I need a regulator. I need injectors because the E38 General Motors PCM that came with the Mass Motorsports LST controls kit, it can only run high impedance injectors, but with low impedance and stock PCM, you can't run them. So I'm gonna have to get injectors. Gonna need a starter because the starter that I do have doesn't have a solenoid on it. The starter solenoid was damaged. A switch panel. I need some way to send, I mean, the ECU is gonna do all like the controlling and stuff like that, but I still want a switch panel. So that's on there. I need 2 NOx sensors because those I don't have. I need 2 ignition coils because I have 6, you need 8, and I need 8 spark plugs. So that's all I can think of to get this thing running. I mean, as far as like sensors and whatnot. And I got bored the other day and I was like, you know what, because I got tired of like the oxidized look, like the aluminum was oxidized. Let me show you. Like it was doing that. See where like little white spots everywhere? Let me see if I have another example. Yeah, like the aluminum's starting to oxidize just from sitting, because like I said, moisture in this building. So I took my time and I took like a little Dremel and started like polishing or whatever, you see? And then I got really bored and I started to polish stuff. And in order to get this smooth, you have to remove all like the casting dimples and stuff. And I realized quickly that that takes a long time to do. So with the right materials and the right attachments, I could do it. It just would take a long time. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause on doing this for now until I get bored again, and I go to like Harbor Freight and get a bunch of attachments from my Dremel and just blast through this. But I'd like to get at least the front of the heads the same. And I don't really care about these casting marks. This weird squiggly thing, I don't know what that is. These things, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I know what that is. So, yeah. And then I got all the hardware like cleaned up best I could. And there you go. So that's what I've done. But today, I have a plan on something I want to do in the back of the car with that thing. I was gonna do like this, right? And I like the height of it or whatnot, but honestly, I don't like this setup the way it is, simply because I bought these brackets or whatnot, and if you go to mount these brackets, I have nothing smooth to bolt to. Nothing at all. Instead of doing all that and having the fuel cell way high up here and having to figure out how to build some kind of bulkhead or whatnot, I am gonna cut the tub out. You see that where it's hitting right there? I'm gonna cut the tub out, and that'll let me drop this tank basically to where the top of the tank's like this. The top of the tank's gonna sit here, right? A little bit lower than, basically it's gonna sit there, right? This little oopsie here, I can fill that in with whatever, but I'm basically gonna cut right along here where Rock Solid Motorsports tells you to cut their stuff, because I have a good idea to use just their lid, their rear delete panel, and make a lid out of it. You know what I'm saying? And then to support the tank, I'm gonna run channel metal from Lowe's or whatever, from frame rail to frame rail, 2 pieces, one this way, one that way, and it'll support the tank. Bada bing, bada boom, I'm done. All right, so the problem that I'm having, so I have my cut all the way across, right? And it looks like it's completely separated, right? But there's another section of metal that's attached to it. I guess this one, when it was seamed up, it had some extra stuff seamed, but this cut goes all the way through, which doesn't make sense to me. So when in doubt, cut it out. What they don't tell you, see that backing plate that goes all the way across the tub? That's part of the car. See? They don't tell you on the internet. Like, I don't care what video you watch, nobody tells you about that secondary, like, skin part thing. So I'm telling you now, you better cut that from the bottom before you cut your tub. Because everybody makes it, goodness, I'm out of breath. Everybody makes it out to be real easy, cut and drop. Yeah, no, I don't think so. That's for people who have already turned their car into a race car. I haven't. So if you're like me, make sure you cut that plate. So now I have plenty of room to put the fuel cell wherever I want. See that frame rail right there? Let me tighten up my spot a little bit so you can see. See that frame rail right there? I'm gonna run 2 pieces of like L channel all the way across to this one. That one down there. So the tank can sit like boop, right there. Let me mock it up so you can see. Okay, so I had to find like foam blocks and stuff, and basically it's gonna look like that. That's about the height that the frame rails are. So it's gonna be there. And then all I have to do is build a lid, because I was gonna use the Rock Solid Motorsports one or whatever, but I would have to drop the tank so far down that if you look from the back, it would stick out. And right now it's like ideal, like you can barely see the sump. And it's like pretty much level with the bottom of this. So that's pretty much where I want it, as low as I would want it. That's, the frame rails is max. I don't want it any lower, because if this thing turns into a wheelie machine, I don't want to have any problems. So that's where it's gonna roughly be. I don't mind if it goes up a little bit, but I don't want it to go any further down. So by cutting that tub out, I was able to gain the clearance I need, because I mean, this is 8 gallons. I didn't want a 10 or a 15 or anything like that, because 7 pounds per gallon, no thank you. I would rather have 8 gallons is enough to do like a street test or whatever, because like some of these courses, some of these classes, they have like, you have to drive a 30-minute cruise around a track or something like that with a pace car, and that'll be more than enough to do 30 minutes. But overall, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now, like I said, I'm not a fan of that. I will clean that up, you know, off camera or whatever. But that's cool, that's a good look, huh? I said I was gonna cut on the car, but man, cutting that out definitely made a big difference. Helped me fit that in there, so. There's the fuel cell where it's gonna go. I said I wanted to work on the car, right? Well, I had a lot of fun. As much of a pain in the butt that was to do, I had a lot of fun working on the car and modifying it and doing what I had to do to get the fuel cell mounted and make it more of a race car. So we have a game plan on the hustle board. Now I know exactly what I need to get, and I'll start buying them piece by piece and get this fuel system done, because once that fuel system's done, all I gotta do is wire up the switch panel, give it power from a power distribution block from a battery, and boom, it should start right up. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button. Definitely helps the channel grow. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.